All right, we're back for another episode of Stream of Thought, and we're on 52 today, and we begin the conversation with some nap time.
Nap time and how refreshed I felt waking up this morning.
Then we go into talking a little bit about, of all things, the weather.
The weather, how terrible it is when it's cold and how awesome it is when it's warm.
Especially in this time of year, definitely still worth considering. And then we end up going into
the relativity of value.
And just talking about the different values that we have in our lives and how we prioritize those sort of things.
And then we kind of wrap things up, again, talking a little bit about technology, the internet, and how everything is in its infancy and where we would like to see it go in terms of social norms and responsibility.
Victor doesn't want to be a robot.
I don't want to be a robot. Bloop, bleep, bloop, bleep. Yes, but with that being said, episode number 52, Stream of Thought, here we go! We hope you enjoy.
I think the difference is talking to a person and talking to a brick wall. It's like I just can't talk to a brick wall.
Different strokes for different folks.
Oh, come on.
Some
man.
people. What?
We're a PG podcast. Maybe PG-13.
There's things that I can do that you can't do that you can do that I can't do. Like I could
Yes.
totally just talk to nothing. You know, if you had to go do something real quick and keep it going.
All right, cool. I'm out of here.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway, what I was saying was, I have to thank you for yesterday for allowing us to record this morning as opposed to yesterday, because yesterday there was no way it was going to happen. I had about 40 minutes of time where I was just going to lie down and rest between having to leave the house again.
Yeah.
And I set my alarm just in case, and I never really slept. I'm just lying down and just enjoying the fact that I'm just in a dark room and just resting. And I look at my watch and I'm just like, fuck, I can't do this. I'm not excited to go do an episode right now. And I just thought of the whole process in between, like going to pick you up, driving to the studio, getting it set up, doing the episode, afterwards doing the entire process, not just the episode, but just the whole thing from beginning to end. It's like it's not going to happen. I am going to be angry because I'm also hungry and I'm tired during this process.
That's totally understandable. And I mean, you, at least in my experience, are a super reliable person when it comes to following through with this sort of stuff. So I knew it was pretty serious when you're like, I'm feeling pretty beat right now.
Well, the thing
I
was,
can totally
too,
relate.
It was really the fact that I had a headache and I was exhausted. I was starting to get a headache and I was really exhausted. Because I've done it before where like, I don't want to do it, but I'll get up and then I'm totally fine. But I'd been up since 5:30. I was only supposed to work until noon, so I didn't bring a lunch with me really because thought I was going to work till noon. I ended up staying there till 2. Luckily, the people who washed the windows brought like bagels, so I ate some bagels.
Oh, that's good.
So that was nice. Then I went to go to the airport to pick up my sister, came back, so it was just like I just had to just rest and go to sleep. But the weird thing is that on Wednesday, I went to bed at like 4:30 or 5. I took a nap and I was like, I'll wake up in a couple hours and, maybe 8 or 9 o'clock. And I woke up at 11:30 at night. I was up for about an hour, went back to bed, woke up at like 5 o'clock the next morning, 5:30 next morning.
Yeah.
I was catching up from like sleep that I'd missed before. And then that cycle continued yesterday. And so when I woke up today, just feeling just this surge of vitality and just feeling so refreshed.
Yeah.
I was just so relieved that we could do the episode today instead of yesterday.
Oh,
Man.
Absolutely, dude. And I mean, that just reminds me back. It was the end of my second year at seminary, and it had been just an intense month of studying, prepping for finals and all that. Finals were done, and we ended up having this. We called it prom, but basically it was just a social gathering or whatever. And so my motor was keeping on going, right? I was able to get through all that, have a lot of fun, memorable night. And then in the morning, then I had to work in the mailroom to like sort mail and things until 5 p.m. And so super hungover, super tired, like still basically just running on adrenaline from the night before. Get up to my room at 5:30. I lay down. I'm like, okay, I'll take a nap for a couple of hours, get up, have some dinner, maybe talk to a couple people, then go to bed, get a good night's rest. Close my eyes, Next thing I know, I wake up. There's sun streaming through, and I'm like, "Wait, that's not the sun of a setting sun. That's the sun of a rising sun." I'm like, "Holy shit!" Jump out of bed. It's Sunday morning, so I have church I got to be at for to run the
Yeah.
Sunday school program. I'm like, "Oh my god, what time is it?" It was like 7 o'clock, so I had plenty of time. But it was one of those things where 14 hours of rest. I had no plan to do that at all. I was just like, I'm just gonna rest for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's just you're out, and then when you wake up in the morning, it's just oh,
Well,
starting
I've
afresh.
had on several occasions where I take a nap and I wake up. For example, like on Wednesday, I went to bed at like 4:30, and I wake up at 11:30, and I wake up and I think that it's the next day already, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what time is it right now? And I freak out. I think I'm gonna be late to work or something like that. And I'm like, oh wait, it's still, it's yesterday, quote unquote. No, it's still the day that I had
Oh, yeah.
didn't think that it was.
Yeah.
And one time before too, in the summer, like a few years ago, I had an interview at like 7:30 in the morning, and this is in the summer. I went to bed, and I woke up at like 7. So at this time, the brightness in the air was about the same in the evening as it was in the morning, around the same, that 12-hour time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So I thought it was 7 o'clock the next day, and I was running late, and I jump, I throw my pants, I throw my shirt. I'm like, I'm not gonna make it on time. So I call the person. I'm like, hey, I'm really sorry. I'm gonna be running late. I'm leaving my house right now. Let me know if this doesn't work. We can make it a different day. And then like 5 minutes later, I was like, wait a minute. And then I look, and it was still the same day that I had taken a nap, just like 3 hours later. And I called them back and left them their message like, never mind. Never mind.
Dude, I've had that happen to me a couple of times too. Where you're just like, oh, you have no orientation as to what time
None at all.
it is. It's just like
You're like in limbo for a few moments, and it's super, super weird.
well, and especially if it's close to some sort of big scheduled event that you have to be somewhere important for, and then you're thinking about that. So the moment you wake up, your mind instantly goes to that. And you trick yourself into thinking that you're.
How crazy is it though? Like you wake up and you're kind of dazed and confused and a little groggy, and then the moment your brain makes a connection, like there's something important to do, just the insane
adrenaline
surge of alertness
Yeah.
that goes through your brain. Like all of a sudden you're awake,
It's a
and
light
then.
switch.
And then when you realize that level of alertness is no longer needed, it like your brain quickly powers down. It's like, whoa, that in itself is disorienting. Like you become super alert and then realize it's not important. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah, yeah. How often does that happen to you?
So
It's tough to remember how
Yeah.
often it happens.
I mean, when I take these naps that are also known as slumbers, these
You call them
7 to
you call
12
them your
hour
slumbers?
7 to 12
Okay.
hour
Remember
slumbers.
that.
Maybe once, I don't know, it's not every time. Not every other time. Every 4 times maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
Where I wake up and then think I have something important to do, but it's still the same day, so I'm okay.
Yeah.
But I've had it
That's less
before
for
too where it's rare, but I have it where like I'll sleep for 15 hours. I'll wake up, I'll sleep for like 7 or 8 hours. I'll wake up for like 30 to 45 minutes, go back to bed, and sleep for like another 7 or 8 hours.
I can do that occasionally. If it's been a long series of days, I can do that pretty easily.
I once, when I was in Mexico, I was at a wedding. And we go back to the hotel at like 3 o'clock in the morning because the wedding ended at like 2. So we go back at like 3, and I stopped drinking because it's like there's no reason to drink at 3 o'clock in the morning. But we're still up, and we're outside like in the courtyard and everything. And the wedding was on Saturday. And so I stay up until, guess how long I stay up for? The wedding is on Saturday.
Mhm.
We get back to the hotel at 3 o'clock in the morning on quote unquote Saturday night. Early Sunday morning is really what it is. Guess how late I stay up till?
Oh man, 5?
That's a very good guess.
What is it?
I stayed up until 2 o'clock in the afternoon the following day.
What were you doing for all that time?
I was just hanging out. I'm not even kidding. I stopped drinking. I maybe
Yeah.
had 1 or 2 beers when I got back to the
Did you
hotel.
have any caffeine?
No, I was just
What?
hanging out. So,
Until 2 the
yeah,
next
so
day? Oh
yeah,
my.
until 2 o'clock the next day, and so then at when it was so weird because, you know that moment when you realize you're staying up late and the sun starts to come up, you're like, whoa, the sun's
Mm-hmm.
starting to come up. Then I realized like, wait a minute, it's straight up the middle of the afternoon right now. I need to go to bed,
Mm.
and so I go to bed at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I wake up at midnight. So I've now slept for 10 hours. I
Yeah.
wake up at midnight. I'm up for maybe 20 minutes. I go back to bed until 7 o'clock the next day. 7 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my goodness, dude.
And it's funny because by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there were people who had gone to bed at 3 in the morning when we got back.
Yeah.
And then they woke up and like started drinking again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So
yeah.
it was so weird because I just saw these different groups of people who were no longer partying, and then they were partying, and then like I wasn't partying. And then at midnight, other people were partying. I'm like, how can you be partying? He's like, oh, because they slept. That's why they slept.
It's so interesting to be the person awake for the changing of the guard, so to
Yes,
speak.
yes, exactly.
Because, I mean, during work camp back in high school, it was exactly like that, where
the changing of the guard.
the last night was a quote unquote all nighter. I was the only one. No, me and Julie Carey actually were the only two people who would stay up the entire night. And so everyone else would be saying that, yeah, no, we're gonna totally stay up the whole night.
Right.
But everyone would wuss out at some point. Oh, it's so tired. I'm so tired. Get it. And so you have these people who are like, I'm not staying up at all. I'm gonna get up early the next morning. They go to bed really early, and then most people make it to about midnight or so. Then you have the steady stream of people going to sleep, and at around 3:30 or 4 in the morning, the last couple of people, last holdouts, are going to bed. Here, Julie and I are watching around. It only we talk for maybe a half an hour, 45 minutes before the adults start getting up, and so you have the adults start rising, and then at about 6:30 you have those kids that went to bed early, waking
Yeah.
up all rested and refreshed. Adults are off making coffee and talking, and then the kids who wake up come join Julie and I. So we've been sort of this epicenter of the
Yes.
social sphere throughout the course of the night. It's yeah. Those were some memorable experiences. I think I pulled the all-nighter, I think, every year.
Really?
Yeah. And so I think my freshman year there was one or two people who made it the whole night with me, but after that it was either me or just me and someone else. So
If I'm tired, I don't care. I'm gonna go to bed.
yeah.
And I remember one time, I remember like being a kid in like sleepovers and stuff in elementary school. Like it'd be 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be wanting to go to bed, and other people would be like awake, and be like, hit me with the pillow, like stay up. I'm like, I swear to God, I'm gonna fucking hit you in the face if you prevent me from sleeping right now. Like when it comes to sleep, I don't care. If I make plans to go do something at night and it's like 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock rolls around, and it's like time to meet up with people, and I'm tired and I want to go to bed. I'm not going to argue with my body. I'm going to go to bed, and I'm going to bail on plans so that I can sleep.
I sleep is super important for me, but I'm an awful sleeper. So whenever I get a chance to have a restful night's sleep, I'll take it. But for the most part, I'm just like whatever. I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, on rare occasions, I won't care, and I'll be like, I'll stay out anyway because it's going to be an epic night, and I can't miss out on what's happening, or something like that. But it's like, wow, I also wonder what would the world be like as I'm yawning.
I know. Really good camera. Not even trying to disguise it.
What would the world look like if humans didn't require sleep? What?
I mean, that's just like asking what would humans look like if we didn't require us to like process waste, like eat food and process waste. If we could just function, like generate energy from the sun, not have to eat anything.
I was watching something where they were talking about like cold-blooded animals versus warm-blooded, and how like warm-blooded animals need need to consistently eat food to fuel their system to keep their body warm, whereas cold-blooded animals, say a crocodile or something, or a snake, only needs to eat like once or twice a month because they don't need the energy and fuel to sustain a system that continues to generate heat because their body is just the same temperature as whatever the water is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, man, that would be crazy too if like humans only needed to eat once a month. Like, what? That'd be crazy. But I enjoy eating.
That would be crazy. I don't. I really don't.
You don't enjoy eating?
No.
Why?
Most of the time I find it an inconvenience.
Really?
It's a time waster.
I love eating.
If you're eating a good meal, I think that's different. I mean,
Yeah, I'm thinking like if I'm at a restaurant, not like if I
Yeah,
have to
no.
I
I'm just
hate
talking about,
making food at my house.
and that's the thing. I'm talking about standard daily living because you don't eat out all the time.
No.
I mean, I like special occasions. Special occasions are great for anything, but the standard routine of eating, it's so mundane.
I was thinking the same word.
You were?
I was thinking the same word.
I couldn't find the right word, so
yeah.
I had to use mundane. Yeah,
It
that was
does
my
suck
backup
having to
one.
make food. We've briefly gone over this before. But going back to sleep, real quick, because I remember
All right.
like the thing with vampires is the thing they don't. Well, wait a minute. No, that's a lie. In Twilight, they don't ever sleep, but like the typical thing aside from like the garlic, they like sleep in their coffins, right? But in the movie Twilight, they don't ever sleep.
I would have no idea. I've never seen Twilight. Have you seen all the Twilights?
I think I've seen
Yes,
the
you
first.
have.
No, I have.
Yes, you have.
I believe I've seen the first two. I've read all the books. I believe I've only seen the first two movies.
Okay.
But I mean, if you just never required rest, how much stuff you could do.
Yeah. It would be an awesome.
Especially-
mean, how many? Because we spend approximately a third of our lives asleep.
Yeah.
So you think about it.
Think though too, even if we did sleep, how much fun would it be? Well, maybe not right now in winter, but how much fun would it be in the summer to live in a country that only had like 2 hours of darkness in the summer? You know what I'm saying?
That would screw with our.
I guarantee,
We would totally be more productive for sure.
oh, for sure, people would be like mowing their lawns at 2:00 in the morning.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
like,
Absolutely.
that'd be so weird.
Mm-hmm.
That baffles my mind. I was listening to a podcast. I was listening to Bill Skarsgård on The Nerdist. He's from
Me
Sweden.
too. Yeah.
He was saying how like when he was in school,
That was a good one.
it'd be dark when he would go to school, and then it'd be dark again when he would be leaving school.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? That would suck.
Yeah. That's why. The further north you live, the darker it gets, man.
I know.
Where you have people living in Alaska dealing with that pretty much year round, where they have that period of perpetual darkness.
I wouldn't want that. That would be just so
Just think
depressing.
about how depressing. I mean, we need sunlight to be happier. I mean, it's biologically imperative.
Right.
We're not-
I believe in places like that, they get extra vacation days just to mentally deal with how depressing it is.
Well, you look at the drug epidemic up in places like rural Alaska.
I
It's
didn't even know there was a drug epidemic.
out of control. Yeah.
Do you think that people naturally have inhabited those places, or only because there's like electricity people are like, oh, well, we can go up front. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh,
who in their right
man.
mind would actually live that far north?
I think humans are very adaptable. I think that humans, if we have the luxury of having priorities, like we can prioritize things, and so we'll adapt to the environment if it aligns with our priorities. So
Very true.
say our priorities are to live in a hard to get to place, safe and secure, isolated, that sort of thing, beautiful scenery. If that's your priority, we know we can adapt to whatever. We know how to build homes.
Yeah, my priority is definitely not living in the Midwest forever. Fucking hate this winter. The other day I was walking
It's
my
the
dog.
best place to live in the entire country, though. Regionally speaking, the Midwest is the safest place to live.
Yeah, fuck that. I just want it to be warm.
Dude, trust me, the Midwest in January, in like 5 years from now, you're going to be like, this is Florida weather in summer. There is no winter anymore. Yay.
Oh my gosh.
The jet stream has totally dissolved.
I wouldn't mind that. Yeah, if the jet stream changes, how long is that going to take? 5 more years. But I was walking my dog the other day, and I made it to the corner. So as you know, I'm the second house from the corner. I made it to the corner before I decided to turn around and go back inside. It was so cold. And by so cold, it was probably like 35 degrees,
You
30 degrees.
freaking wuss.
And it was windy. It was windy, though.
Grow some testicles,
So I decided to,
man.
like, turn around and go back inside because I'm like, I'm not dealing with this right now.
I really enjoy running when it's that weather. That is perfect. Just getting outside. Once your body starts getting warm, you just
Jeff's
enjoy
wife
the weather.
told me that she sometimes has run. She runs to work or runs whenever, and it's like 15 degrees outside. I'm like, are you crazy?
Yeah, I've done that.
Forget that. Absolutely no thank you.
You push yourself. You make yourself better.
Yeah, I don't care. I'd rather go to the gym and run on the treadmill. I also just don't like having all the things to keep track of in order to stay warm, like your gloves and scarf and hat and like an undershirt, like just all these things in order to stay warm. The fall is the perfect weather because you can enjoy the crisp, cool weather without freezing your ass off outside.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like in winter is hats.
You wear hats all the time.
I know. Generally speaking.
You're wearing a hat now.
I know.
You wear them all the time.
I do wear hats all the time.
But
it's
hats like
only-
that or like hats that cover
I'm talking about
like the wool hats?
wool hats that go over your ears.
Yeah.
I don't mind them, but I would rather not have to wear them all the time. I'd prefer a baseball cap, for sure.
I guess I'm just not prepared or just don't think about how to prepare myself because I wear this pea coat, but then one time, I think when I was going to work, I had a scarf and gloves and hat, and I was like, wow, this is a game changer. This is a game changer for sure because when it's windy, air hits you in spots that it's just like, it somehow finds a way.
Yeah.
You know? It somehow finds a way.
Like, I had to bike to Ray's house this week for work, and I'm biking in below freezing weather, right?
Yeah.
And so, but I have I have my black, like, poofy jacket. I got my hat. I wear these basically goggles. I just put them on. And then scarf over the mouth, some thermal gloves, like wind-resistant gloves, and I am toasty as a clam.
Wow.
I don't know if clams are toasty, but I am just so comfortable that I can't even tell that it's winter out.
That's
I'm just
good.
like, that's cool. You know, get my Bluetooth headphones in, listen to a podcast. It's just like I'm sitting inside, just doing some bicycles in Beaster.
Would you rather live in permanent... So if you had to live in permanent extreme weather, would you rather live in weather that was permanently cold or hot?
My
And
philosophy...
take it how you want. It could be like, well, obviously when it's cold, it's really dry. Or if you wanted to pick heat, it can be hot and dry or it could be hot and humid. What are you thinking?
Okay, my general philosophy on life is that you can always get warmer, but it's much harder to cool down. We don't have internal cooling systems, so when it comes down to it, I am much more inclined to live in an area where I can raise my temperature as opposed to an environment where there's no
Interesting.
way to get my temperature down if I'm too hot.
You can jump in like a pool or a lake.
How is that readily available to me?
Man, just
Like
say,
if I'm
like-
just walking down the street, oh look, there's a pool. I'm gonna jump in there right now.
I mean, I don't know. Just if there's one
I hate
within
getting
walking
sweaty.
distance.
I hate getting sweaty.
That's fair.
Like it's so gross. I like feeling clean.
Yeah, being humid is the worst. Because too, I've had it before where like I go to work and at 7:00 in the morning and it's already like 90% humidity outside. I remember
Yeah,
like going to
it's
walking to the
absolutely
L
disgusting.
and like already starting to sweat a little bit at 7:00 in the morning. It's like, this is impossible right now.
So now that we spent 25 minutes talking about the
Just
weather,
riffing on
talking about the
weather.
weather. Oh man, that's great. Okay, so I did remember something, and this is actually
And sleep.
kind of
Sleep and weather.
sleep and
Okay.
weather. Two awesome topics. Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
I think we talked about it off air, right?
Yeah, we talked about it at Neil's house.
But basically, is it cool if I say you have an investment in Bitcoin?
Yeah.
And it's an investment of 700% growth, which is insane. However, I bet if you check it now...
No, I checked it now. It's gone down for sure.
Yeah, so they were saying that the Bitcoin bubble is basically...
Deflating.
could be bursting. It dropped 25% overnight.
Yeah, it's
Its value
super
dropped.
volatile.
It's so volatile. But do you know what Bitcoin is?
I've done some research, but not enough to like care enough to go in depth.
Okay, so here's just how Bitcoins are created. Can I just read this?
Tell me, yeah.
Because I like to think of myself as somebody who understands things pretty easily or is able to get a general grasp of what a concept is. I read this and it just over my head. I couldn't understand it. I couldn't
Like the
understand
blockchain?
how Bitcoins are created. They tried explaining how Bitcoins are created in this article, which I think is pretty straightforward. It's about as simple as you can get, and it's similar.
But it's still super difficult
But
to
I
grasp.
just, it's in a language I just don't understand.
Like you can barely understand it, or you can like not really.
Conceptually, I cannot visualize
Okay.
what they're trying to say. So here's how it goes. How Bitcoins are created. New Bitcoins are produced by a vast network of computers that whir away at cracking difficult math problems in order to validate other Bitcoin transactions. Bitcoin is known as a cryptocurrency because encryption techniques are used to create Bitcoins and to exchange them. Every transaction is added to a public ledger called a blockchain. The process of running a program to solve these problems is called mining. An algorithm that controls the complexity of the math problems to be solved caps the total number of bitcoins produced at 21 million. The closer the total bitcoins mined comes to 21 million, the more complex the math problems that are created, and the more processing power computers need to solve them. When the first bitcoins were mined in 2009, okay, and so then it goes into statistical information. Did that make any sense
I've read
to you?
that. Yeah, no, it doesn't make. I've tried reading it, and I've tried it with reading it like where they have pictures and everything too, and I don't really can grasp maybe about 20% of it.
So, like, is at its core the Bitcoin like a program that's super encrypted or like highly encrypted? Is it a program or is it just the encryption itself?
Dude, you're talking to the wrong person about this.
Because it talks about encryption, but I understand encryption as something that you do to something else,
Right.
not as an entity itself.
Yeah.
Encryption cannot exist without attaching to something.
Right.
You encrypt something.
Mm-hmm.
It's a verb to encrypt, not a noun.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the noun is unless somehow encryption is now a noun.
I don't know, but
Which is just mind-blowing.
I did see that it's. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this is real or not, but it sure as hell is really, really funny. It said, "Man arrested for making over $1 million and selling Chuck E. Cheese tokens as bitcoins."
Oh, that is awesome!
Oh man!
Oh my goodness, are you serious?
Yeah, I was on Instagram. I was laughing my ass off.
Is that a real?
so
is that
much.
fake? Is that real or fake news?
I don't know, but it is
Oh.
so funny.
I could totally
It
see
is
someone trying to do that, dude.
So funny. I mean, if you have people, okay, on the Nerdist, they were talking about like when there was a picture of Steven Spielberg next to the Triceratops, someone had said something like, "I can't believe this man hunted and killed this beast. He should be put in jail." And someone's like, "That's Steven Spielberg, the director of Jurassic Park." And they're like, "I don't care who he is. He has no right to do this." So like there are actually people out there that are stupid enough to believe that dinosaurs are still real. Or if they don't know or if they think dinosaurs are extinct, they see a Triceratops and don't realize it's a dinosaur and think it's a real thing. And so if there are people dumb enough for that, there are definitely people dumb enough to buy Chuck E. Cheese tokens with the fucking mouse on the face of the coin and believe that it's a Bitcoin.
Like, okay, so, is it dumb or is it gullible? Because I have a hard time believing people are that dumb. Like, I know people are that gullible, but I mean, people can be tricked into believing anything.
But they also mentioned too
that
that somebody could be their mind could be so occupied with the fact that somebody killed something that they don't take the time to realize that it's something that is non-existent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like just get so
Like
let
an
their emotions
emotional
take over
reaction.
so quickly that they don't stop to think, okay, is this thing a prop or is this a real
Yeah,
live
but that's
animal?
not stupidity. That's emotional
Yeah.
immaturity.
Yeah.
So
But
emotional.
yeah, I mean, I think it's just people being dumb, to answer your question.
Oh, I mean, I know, like, people buy the weirdest crap. It is crazy the sort of money that people are able to make from doing. Who's that Goop? The Goop person.
Goop?
Yeah,
What's a goop?
it's this actress. Can't remember her name. She's
I don't know.
famous though.
I think I know what you're talking about, but there's no way I
But
can remember
it's
her
this
name.
like luxury brand of basically it's sold as these health products that don't actually do anything but cost like millions of
Oh,
dollars.
okay.
So, yeah.
Wait, the
And
product is called Goop, or her name is Goop?
the product line is called
Oh.
Goop. Yeah, no, her name is called Goop.
I thought first, like,
She's the famous actress Goop.
I thought
Do
you were
you
saying
not
her.
know?
I thought you were saying like her
All
name
of
was
her-
Goop. And I'm like, what's Goop? And like Goop or Goop. I was like, wait, is this someone who's like from India? Is this like? And I started thinking like, is this
Yeah,
an Indian
right.
actress?
Yep.
Okay, so the product is called Goop.
Sanjay Gupta.
The product is called Goop, and it costs millions of dollars. It's worth millions of dollars, and it does nothing.
Anyway, it was an anecdotal example of yes, if people have disposable income, they can get pretty stupid with their money or gullible in where to put it.
I mean, but at the same time, what is like everything for the most part? Something is only valuable based on the collective agreement that it's valuable.
Mm-hmm.
For example, like,
Bitcoin.
well, I mean that, or like abstract art where someone just fucking takes a paintbrush and just slashes paint on canvas, and all of a sudden it's worth $500,000, but it probably took about 30 seconds to make, and it's just, and you look at it, and it's really completely meaningless. A 3-year-old can make it, but if you literally twist it in a way, well, you know, this stroke represents this, the emotional journey that the artist was going through when he was conflicted between what colors to choose. All this dumb bullshit, you know what I'm saying?
Well, actually, in regards to art, the art appraisers all get together and say, "We're going to make that painting valuable, and that one's not going to be valuable."
Yeah, I mean, it's just all, it
they
doesn't
point-
matter.
They,
You just
they
fucking,
pick and choose.
yeah, it's a fucking,
arbitrary.
yes,
Correct.
completely arbitrary.
So, yeah, it's capitalism though.
I know, right? Well, yeah, what I was saying was going to get back at the whole
Yeah,
Goop thing. It's like, it could be completely worthless, but if you say that it's valuable or you assign something to it and people believe you, well, guess what? You just made $1 million.
Yeah. It's that fine line too, right? Because take for example the Drywall Doctor YouTube channel, right? I mean, we're looking at crowdfunding, trying to get people to give money for an intangible product, right? Videos that go up on the internet. It's kind of absurd at its face value, and that's part of the reason why Ray didn't want to do it in the first place, is because for his generation, that's absurd. Why would anyone give money to a YouTuber just to continue putting out YouTube videos? Makes no sense. And he said that. I was like, yeah, no, you're right. It makes no sense, but that's the culture we live in now. I mean, it's capitalism. It's that anyone can make it, and because our corporate systems don't allow that anymore, people want to crowdfund. It's like we want to be able to build something ourselves. And that's the definition of capitalism. So,
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah. The reason why I brought that up though is that it is that fine line, is that it may be absurd, but it's like there are certain things that are more absurd to give money to than others, and it's having an adequate sense of balance in regards to, like you said, people can be stupid in regards to how they spend their money.
I still can't believe someone thought Triceratops was real. That blows my mind.
Yeah, I can't actually believe that's real though.
I don't know. It's so hard these days. But at the same time, with the internet...
If it seems too crazy to be...
Yeah, but at the same time, the internet is proof that there are people out there that are so stupid.
No, it's not. It's
Yes.
not proof of anything,
There
because
are so
the
many
internet is
dumb
not
people.
Like, you can't prove that that's an actual person's belief. I mean, I don't think that the internet...
Well, no, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, like, for example, people's inability to construct, like, meaningful argument. Like, there's just random crap that's on...
Correct.
That's on social media, where you read stuff on tweets or Instagrams or whatever. It's like, wow, I guess anyone can, because of the fact that the internet, anyone can say anything. It lets you know how many people out there that just really don't have cohesive thoughts and can put together tangible arguments.
Here's my theory, and we'll see if this plays out. I have like 20 to 30 years for it to be proven right. So,
Okay.
But I think that the kids of our generation, so people our age who are having kids right now, those kids, when they get to be teenagers, I think their revolution is they're going to go through like this digital blackout period of just not engaging with social media or technology in a pretty massive shift because they'll look at our generation, be like, what a bunch of assholes. Like, because you look at the way that our culture operates right now with phone addiction, always being on social media, these sort of narcissistic things of wanting to have our voices heard and always wanting to sort of be the loudest in the room. I mean, as a culture, there's a reason why everyone thinks that we're the worst generation, and I think that our kids are going to see us as these horrible failures to society in general because we've just acted in such a selfish way for, since we came to power when we turned 18.
Every generation thinks that the generation after them is the dumbest generation.
Yeah, but I mean, look at our generation. We're pretty dumb, dude. We're
Yeah,
pretty
we're
bad. We're
pretty
pretty bad.
innovative too. I mean, I think you.
No. Those are the top end of the millennials. I mean, you can barely consider them millennials.
Who?
The inventors. I mean, the people who initiated the creation phase. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, like social media as we understand
The
it
people
today.
the 15-year-olds that you're thinking of are not a part of our generation.
No, I'm thinking about people who are under 28, 29, like 30, my age, 30 or younger.
That is not true. I'm sure there are people out there that are our age that are doing.
I'm not saying they
groundbreaking
don't exist.
things.
I'm saying generally as a cultural society. I mean, I pay attention to stuff like what's trending on YouTube, what's trending on Twitter. I don't engage with it ever, but I'm curious to see what it is, and it's always just stupid shit. And it's stuff that is just meant to get people upset, and people just get enraged and want to make their voice heard or tell someone they're wrong or whatever, and it just becomes this very angry hornet's nest of activity. You got to be very careful where you walk when you go into the digital media, and I think we're responsible for that sort of environment because we populated it first. We set the tone.
Yeah, but people pay attention to negative things more than they do positive things.
Exactly, and we've reinforced that as the guardians of the digital media. There's no one our parents' age who run internet-based social media stuff.
Yeah, not really.
It's us. Like we make the rules, and this is the world that we've created.
Yeah, but if you're saying that we're responsible for what you were saying, like looking at things that are pretty much of no. Okay. Is it possible, first, before I continue, that you have your default setting is that of pessimism?
I don't know. You tell me.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that the world around you is based on how you perceive the world. Like if you look at things through a pessimistic lens, you're going to think everything is going to shit and that everything is meaningless. But if you look at it through optimism, then you're going to tend to find the more positive things than those that are negative. So it's really based on your perception of your reality, not a reality, because every reality is based on how you perceive the world on an individual level. So if you look at it through one lens or another, that's how you perceive it to be.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I think the internet and what we've made it is also one of the most beautiful things, despite all the damage it's caused.
Yeah.
It's still one of the most beautiful things that is out there. I mean, we have not just helped facilitate all of human knowledge available to every single human being on the planet, but we've also guided this to be a platform of everybody has a voice, right?
Yes.
Everybody matters. And that's theoretically or philosophically is a really cool concept that everyone's voice can matter. On the World Wide Web, every single person who wants to can have a voice. It is uncensored, and I think that outweighs any of the cons that may exist. But I'm just saying, one of the consequences of everybody mattered is we've sort of gone overboard, in the sense of like everybody matters, but I'm also the most important person in the world.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks that they're the most important or like center of the universe. And so you've sort of seen this scale
There,
go.
it's
Whoop.
so there's no there is no, what's it called? It's still like this because still in its infancy. The internet is still this gelatinous etheric blob without any guidelines or manners or
There are no rules.
there's no really instructions on how to make it best serve you and society in a positive way, because it's still just this thing that anybody can just spit their opinion out on.
Yeah. Yeah. And it will be interesting to see what happens in the next. Gosh, I mean, everything moving so fast right now. It really is like the Wild West, and everyone
Yes,
is in a
the
nuclear.
Wild West, for
Everyone
sure.
is in a nuclear arms race in the
Yes.
West. It's just like, I mean,
Who can get the most followers? Who can get the most tweets out? Who can get the most attention? Who can get the most... Yeah.
and there are ways to make it easier and easier and easier, and so our technology is based around facilitating that even more. You know, we talk about chips in our heads or like glasses that we wear that we just touch, whatever. I mean, whatever makes it easier for us to be able to feed that cycle, we're gonna go after it, and whether or not like we agree with it, that's what the market's gonna demand.
I would like to see, for sure, because again, it's just in its infancy and nothing. I mean, I would like there to see rules in regards to technology, and by that I mean, for example, you know, when the caveman and people are eating food, you know, you can just picture someone like, no, my food, like there's no, like it's just it's very savage like when it comes to it. But then people evolve and you sit at the dinner table. There's no elbows on the dinner. You wait until everybody's meal is served. You eat with a fork and knife. So there are, you know, there's rules to it.
They're called social norms.
Yes, that's what I'm looking for. I was trying to think about it for the longest time. And then for the same example, like you're at a table and people are just always texting or taking pictures. Like I'm waiting for that to phase out, where if someone does that, everyone else can look at them with scorn, thinking how rude it is to be texting while you're out at dinner with friends.
I think we're reaching that point, actually. I think we're starting.
Very few restaurants, I know there's some out there, and they kind of make the news, some or like articles about them where like being on the cell phone is not permitted.
Oh yeah,
and they'll throw you out if you take your phone.
I'm not
out.
saying restaurant. I'm saying
But
just
go ahead,
in
continue,
private
yes.
in private settings. I think that. But yeah, there's just I don't know where we were going with that trend.
Just that very slowly, because I mean, if you think about it, even now, very slowly, people, like when I was in college, I would sometimes intentionally leave my cell phone at my dorm when I would go out.
Oh yeah, all the time.
And it wasn't even a smartphone, you know? So even now, I think there are a few people who are just kind of trying to take a couple steps back in terms of technology, and I can't wait for the day when rules have been established, social norms have been established with cell phones and internet.
And our interaction with technology. But dude, I mean, the more intertwined with our lives it becomes, the harder that's going to be to have a counter revolution.
In Guardians of the Galaxy, when they're like, Rocket needs some remote control thing, and the guy's like, good luck, it's integrated into my arm, and I think she just like rips it out, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a part of him.
Yeah.
That kind of scares me a little bit. I'd rather just be 100% human.
I'm not saying that we're going to be replacing ourselves, but look at McDonald's, for example. I mean, they're doing those kiosks. They're installing these automatic kiosks. They're phasing out employees at the register, and that's going to be something that's gone probably in the next 5 years or so, 5 to 10 years. Just going to humans are going to be replaced by kiosks. So how do you separate yourself from that technological integration, where once a major change starts doing it, everyone's going to pick up. So there are very few jobs that are
Where you have to have a person do the job.
Exactly. That's why when I was a minister, I kept thinking that. I was like, that was a perfect
No, dude, in
occupation.
15
Everyone
years, you're
was
going to have
always
robots
need-
preaching.
Yeah, right. Coming up with beautiful, poetic sermons for their congregation of robot followers.
In the year of the internet, 1998.
That's a good sign off.
When did the do you recall when the internet became, computers have been around since like the late 40s or 50s, but the internet boom, I barely remember. I remember like the internet being a thing. I had to think to myself like, I don't even know how to use this. I know I can get cheat codes for N64.
Oh yeah,
but like
that's right.
I didn't really know what it was or how to use it. But we can save that for another time.
Yeah, oh man. How I first discovered porn existed.
Oh,
Like
wow.
I didn't know was a thing before I think it was 7th grade.
Oh, really?
The computer lab. For some reason,
No way, you could
I wasn't
access-
even looking for it. I literally, I was Googling something, like trying to do the assignment
Yeah.
or something, and there was an ad, like a pop-up ad popped up.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it was a porn site. And I
Do
was
you
just
like tits? Click here.
And I was like-
Enter if you're above the age of 18.
And I was like, I've never seen a naked woman before. Why do I feel so
Did you
weird
click on
right
it
now?
or just see the pop-up ad?
No, I freaked out. I'm like,
Did you click
there's-
on it? Tell me you clicked on it.
no, because
Oh.
I was a good kid back
Yeah,
then.
I
And I'm
know.
just like, there's like, and I was just like looking around. I'm like, oh my God. Like if a teacher was looking over, it's like, what are you
You
doing?
would've been
Looking at
in
porn
so
in the
much
computer
trouble.
lab. Yeah, so that was very weird that back when schools didn't have any sort of filters, apparently.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah, you could access any
Yeah,
website.
it's just anything you wanted.
Anything you wanted. Yeah. And anonymity, that was still a thing back then. You could be
Porn.
All right. I think that's where we leave it.
Yeah, real quick, my buddy's. Well, I won't say his name, but I think he had like a terabyte of porn on his computer in college, and he labeled the folder just to hide it. The folder was labeled prawn, PRON. He just switched the words around. He just switched the 2 middle letters around. Because if you think about it from an outside perspective, like prawn, that doesn't make any sense. Whatever. If someone just looks at the folder name, and inside is a fucking terabyte.
But dude, the way that like eyes work or whatever, if you just glance
Yeah,
at it
yeah.
without actually processing,
Yeah.
you see all the letters together, your mind is going to go
If
to
you keep the first and last letter the
Yes,
same,
that's what it
all
is.
the other letters in the
Will-
middle could be completely mixed up, and you can decode.
You will still. Yeah, that's what it was.
What
Thank you
it
for
is.
reminding me. Yeah, so that was clever.
That is pretty neat. Well, I guess that concludes things. Until next time.